When should you start training for the upcoming snowboard season? Let's find out. Before we get started, my name is Mark. I am a doctor of physical therapy and a level 1 snowboard instructor at Mount Bachelor, and I work primarily with snowboard athletes, along with my wife Sarah, who is a licensed massage therapist, yoga instructor, and personal trainer. We make up Mobility Duo, doing all of this for snowboard athletes like yourself. So, when is the perfect time to start training for snowboard season? And the answer is now. Just kidding. If you're watching this video, you probably have this question, and I'm gonna do my best to try to answer it for you. Maybe you are trying to prevent injuries this season, maybe you're trying to improve overall, or maybe you're trying to make a major life change. Regardless, it's always a fantastic idea to train specifically for your sport. Like I mentioned, we get asked this question all the time. And if normal training off the mountain is not in your normal routine, it can be very easy to procrastinate before the season starts. Most of the studies that I'm going to refer to today refer to people in their late teens to early 30s who are generally healthy and have an intermediate training background. Some things we need to keep in mind when generalizing is not everyone is built the same. Some of us have comorbidities like diabetes or heart disease. Do you have experience in the gym? Do you have experience snowboarding, etc.? What is your age and what is your gender? These can absolutely be a factor in how easy it is to adapt to these changes, stress, building muscle, etc. Do you have any current? Do you have any past injuries? These can absolutely affect the process in which you build your body in preparation for the season. What is your current versus your past activity levels? I'm more concerned with what your current activity levels are. If you do have a past history of being active, that's fantastic. The body will adapt a little bit easier. But what you do need to be concerned with is where you are starting at now. And lastly, what are your goals? How much time do you have to put into this? And how much money are you willing to spend to pay for the right program or do the research to do so? Why do we want to be specific with our training off the mountain for snowboarding? Essentially, the idea is we stress the body off the mountain when we are on the hill, when we have to undergo certain stressors on the mountain. These are not new movement patterns, these are not new stressors, and there's no overload on the joints, on the muscular, on the skeletal system. The idea being we stress the body just enough off the mountain so when it has these interactions on the mountain, it's not a new movement pattern, it's not a new concept. Ultimately leading to a better time on the mountain, a longer season, and hopefully progressing. So how long does it take to make changes within the body? More specifically, how long does it take to build muscle to make you stronger, faster, more powerful, etc., etc.? There are thousands of medical journals and studies out there. I happen to look at this one. This was a systematic review, which essentially means they look at thousands, if not hundreds, of medical journals out there. This one looked at journals from the late 90s to mid 2000s. They took 1,000 different athletes, healthy, 19 to 44 years old. They looked at all of these different studies. All of these ranged from a variety of different training models. These studies trained at different muscle groups, but ultimately they found that it takes between 6 and 10 weeks to create muscle hypertrophy or changes within the body. Before you go and run with that number, let's go back to what I talked about in the beginning on a variety of factors: age, gender, experience, injuries, diet, etc., etc., etc. These will all play a factor in how fast it takes to make changes. One thing I also want to note is a term called neural adaptation. What you might find is when you first start to work out, you feel stronger, you may think you look bigger, but ultimately it's the body kind of just making quick adaptations and adjusting to these stressors upon it. So what does this mean? 6 to 10 weeks. That is a nice, sweet number that we can focus on. 6 to 10 weeks prior to the start of the season, where you would want to be peaking. Personally, I would want to start a little bit before that, if not further, just to get the ball rolling earlier. Next, I found some studies on mobility and flexibility and how long it takes to make changes within the body. This is a very hot topic within the exercise science world. Some believe it, some don't. Ultimately, this study followed a range of people adding a flexibility routine from 10 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour. It's exactly what you'd think. The hour had the greatest change, but ultimately flexibility and mobility can take weeks, months, up to years to make those changes. What we can agree upon is consistency is key with these movements. Lastly, I love this, but cross-training is huge in my programming. What does cross-training mean? Cross-training for me means skateboarding, wakeboarding, trampoline, soccer, running, sprints, trail running, mountain biking, etc., etc., etc. Ultimately, it means training in a variety of ways to stress the body so your body adapts to these new movement patterns. There's a lot of popular studies on this one. Today we're using this one, essentially following young adults or teenagers and specializing in their sports. What they found was those who specialize at an earlier age in one specific sport tend to get injured more often than those who are involved in a variety of activities. We can absolutely apply this to young adults. So in saying cross-train, have those activities, whether it's yoga, whether it's mountain biking, whether it's skating in the off season or on season, but they're going to help you for snowboarding. Your training doesn't need to be fancy. If you're just getting started, I always recommend a bodyweight program, which we just released, so please check that out. If you want something more formal, we also have our more formal Shred 3.0. Like I said, the best time to start training is now. But if you want those specific 6 to 10 weeks is a nice, easy number to remember to make those changes within the body. Regardless, I am so excited for the upcoming season, and I hope you are as well. I'm hoping to put out more of these videos on snowboard specifics and how it can help you. We will also continue to put out free workouts, free snowga. Ultimately, we want to make you a better snowboarder, injury-free, so you can keep snowboarding until you're 70+ years old. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all next time.